And so you said you started in school?
Yeah, I started in 5th grade.
Wow. So what do you think about now? A lot of schools are eliminating the arts programs, and
It's very sad is what it is. Unlike everybody's not a basketball star. Everybody's not a football star. There's arts. It creates a lot of avenues for people who are good at that too. And it gives you different creativity. It's a different mindset. Not take anything from any of the athletes. It just gives you another avenue. And it's a shame that arts are now, as we experience it in this day, the first things they cut, and especially in inner urban schools, is really bad. I mean, it's something I think we all in the industry fight to try to keep the programs going. I know I did a couple of years ago, a little bit over a year ago. We did the 510 media. They went into schools and we talked to students.
Oakland?
Yeah, no, 510 media. I think it's Sheila E. and a couple other people. Excuse me. They bring us artists in. They bring artists like myself and a lot of other artists to come in and talk to the kids and play for the kids and kind of talk to them about being in the music industry, and if they have if they're studying a particular genre of music or a particular artist, hopefully we get there, we can expound on it a little bit from what we know.
Yeah, because on a previous show I worked on, I talked to Jason Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
He was with Yoshi's, and I think somehow connected to the program you were just talking about. And it was very interesting in how important that has become to maintain the arts programs we have here.
They have that program. Thank God they have that program. Grammy University, they do something in the schools, which I'm going to start working much closer with the Grammy organization, which is comprised of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, which is the people who vote for the Grammys. And so if you see the Grammy Awards, if you remember that organization, and if you're a voting member, which you have to have a number of projects out, singles actually, I think it's 6 now. You can vote for Grammys, and people always want to know, how do you win a Grammy? And it's not as hard as people think it is. And I always tell artists who are any artist, if you're an artist in the music industry, whether you're an engineer or a producer or a musician, always be associated with NARIS. It's a great organization, and it offers you a lot of avenues to learn and meet people in.
Excellent.
And it actually exposes people to different types of music and to your music also.
That is excellent. So do you have a message for those young aspiring musicians?
Keep on practicing. Keep on listening. Keep on playing. And, that's what it is. And especially the younger musicians. I'm talking about the kids that are still in junior high school, elementary, and high school, because at this point in your life, that's all you have to do is basically practice. When you get older, you get out into the world, you got to worry about paying house notes and car notes and insurance and making sure your health benefits are taken care of. But at this time in your life, you can really just focus and build a great format, a formula, and learn all the rudiments of your instrument. And this is that perfect time to do it when your mind can absorb it, and you have the time for your mind to absorb it without a lot of outside interaction and interferences. You can kind of monitor that a lot better. For me, it was. It's just how it is when you get older. You have older responsibilities, and those responsibilities don't always limit the time for you to become one with your instrument.
And one other thing I was looking at was you're still working on a project, like you have a few singles out now. But
I'm always working on something, always something to work on. ASTWO. You and God. ASTWO are always something to work on. It's always something to work on.
And you have a single out now called Love That. You want to talk
Love
about
That is one of the singles. I put a project out about going on, my God, it'd be 3 years. Put out a project out about 3 years ago, and recorded 2 tracks. And one of the tracks, unbeknownst to me, I could never have imagined it was going to land where it landed. It landed with a lot of radio play. Not so much here in the Bay Area. It's just getting a lot of airplay, and I've understood from people who live here in the Bay Area that Bay Area artists last here.
Wow.
But it's been played all over the world. I've gotten feedback, and people call me and hit me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, all those social media outlets, and they say, we hear your song, we love your song. The lady in New York wrote a book based on that song, which was really great. I was really honored that she did that. And the song, you put out an EP basically, and you say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. And sometimes, it's sometimes just a coaster on somebody's coffee table. And obviously mine did not end up there. At least in this aspect, it didn't. One of the songs kind of took off, and it took off so fast that I'm actually still chasing it.
Wow.
And so I'm working on new stuff. I have a lot of new stuff that's recorded, but I'm just trying to ease the new stuff into where it is now. And Love That is a song that we recorded on the initial session when we recorded I Am Blessed, and it was written by David Jackson, Sarah Williams, singing Sarah, and myself. And it's more of an R&B, urban contemporary song. It's not a jazzy song. The other one is classified more as gospel. For people who are in the genres, I'm not in the genres. You can come see me and I'll play
Everything.
That's just who it is. I try to say music is music, and if you get into the soul of it all, you can play it all. There are things that speak to you more than others. There are certain styles of music that speak to you more than others, but I think genre, here in America especially, it's where they compartmentalize you. And if you come out with another project, then it's not exactly like the one you came out before, and they don't know where to categorize you. It just limits you. Genres limit you. I think that when they put a genre label on you, it limits you, and then it doesn't allow your audience to grow, because that means you're only a contemporary instrumental artist, or you're a blues artist, or you're a folk artist, or you're a bluegrass artist, or you're alternative music, or you're a rock artist. I just try to do it all, and I enjoy playing with different artists in different genres. I do R&B, I do jazz, I do gospel, I do blues, and I work with people in all those areas, and it's great because you can intertwine all those different styles when you record your own stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like that because that keeps you marketable, because the trends change, something may phase out. It's like, that's all right, I can play this too,
Yeah, trend, yeah. Music is one of the most trendy things, but also it has staying power. So there's songs that we still listen to today that is not trendy, it's just classic.
Definitely.
Think of all the Michael Jackson tunes, all the Prince tunes that recorded 30 years ago. Think of B.B. King. Think of all the Rolling Stones, "Start Me Up," and "I Can't Get No Satisfaction." All those tunes are classic tunes, and if you play it, the people know. "Celebration" by Kool and the Gang. You go out to the ball game, they hit a home run. Everybody knows "Celebrate."
Yeah.
And
I like to laugh at the youngsters because then they realize that the songs that are sampled in the rap music, oh my God, that's where that came from.
Yes. It's like this is not new. This is stuff that stood the test of time. And you want to write a song that can stand the test of time. Marvin Gaye, "What's Going On," that whole project. Stevie Wonder, "Songs from Key of Life." All those projects just stand the test of time. The Gershwins.
G's Chill Lounge, Radio Valencia, San Francisco, with your host Gina Alexander. And today we have Stabe Wilson. Say hello, everybody just tuning in.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Call in, hang out with us, and we'll talk.
Yeah, that last song you heard was "Love That." The song you heard before that was actually "Groove On" by Used Groove. And speaking of music, who do you listen to? Who are some of your favorite musicians?
I listen to a plethora of many musicians. I listen to Ray Charles. I listen to Najee. I listen to the Gershwins. I listen to Miles. I listen to Rolling Stones. I listen to Police, Sting. I listen to Everett Harp. I listen to Gerald Albright. B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland. You get in my car. People get in my car and they go, "Wow, you're not playing one kind of music. You got me all over the place." I listen to Donald Lawrence. I listen to Richard Smallwood. I listen to all the Hawkins, Daryl Coley. The list goes on and on. I listen to a lot of my buddies that have independent projects. Andrew Goucher and Donald Hayes and Kevin Moore and. Man, the list is really long. I just listen to a lot of different people, and there are a lot of new things that always come across my feed that just interest me.
Now, since you've been in the industry and you've performed many places, do you have an encounter story of one of these favorite artists?
I've been blessed. Everybody that's been a direct influence on me, with the exception of probably Ray Charles, Joe Williams, Frank Sinatra, and Miles Davis. I've met them.
Wow.
And know them, which is really great. Branford Marsalis is another one. Like I could call them right now, if I get their direct voicemail. And that was a blessing to me because when I was coming up, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet where I can just go log on and hit a name and it will come up with a video, or I can email them or something like that. I had to wait for the Grammys and Soul Train and American Music Awards to come on for me to see all my favorite artists. There's a long time I didn't even know what these guys looked like. I was well into my 20s and 30s before I even knew what Bobby Caldwell looked like. And so with the onset of the internet and social media, it made it much easier. But early on, I was able to meet everybody, at least shake hands with them, even that with everybody that ever influenced me. I remember meeting Al Jarreau right over here to the Masonic Auditorium over on California Street, and I was like, wow. And that's the first place I ever met David Sanborn too.
Oh.
Yeah. Were they on the show together? And I remember we were watching, it was Herbie Hancock, Michael Brecker, Roy Hargrove, John Patitucci, and Brian Blades. And I think the show was Direction in Music. And we were standing in front of the Masonic Auditorium, and Herbie walks out and says, "Hey man, I'm trying to get over to Bimbo's. I got a friend of mine singing over there." I said, "Oh yeah, Raphael Sadiq is over there." And he said, "Man, you know how to get there?" And he had a car coming for him, and we got in the car and rode over to Herbie Hancock to see Raphael Sadiq at Bimbo's over on Columbus. It's like that was crazy.
That's cool. So any collaborations coming up on these meetings?
I'm collaborating with some friends of mine. I'm trying to get something going now. Actually, we're trying to get a show at Yoshi's. I'm not going to put it out there yet, but it's going to be happening.
Oh.
Doing something at Yoshi's with a great pianist.
That'll be really nice.
Yeah, my manager's supposed to be working on it. Hopefully, we'll get it to happen this year. We're trying to get it to happen for the last couple of years, and his schedule and mine just didn't work. But I think we're on something this year. 2018 is going to be all right.
Wow. Well, I know you guys will make that happen because I know some of the other people under your management, they've appeared at Yoshi's. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of getting everything together.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Oh boy. But so what is your ultimate goals? I know some artists, they want to be the superstar. Some artists are just in for the art of it and watching people enjoy it. Where do you say you are?
What's being a star? Being a star is being a star is when people can say, without them announcing your name or back announcing your name, on the radio. They hear it and say, I heard something that sounds just like you. That's success.
Oh.
That means that hopefully it works out good, and you come out to the place where, your sound has become identifiable as you. And Miles Davis said it best. It takes a long time to play like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being a musician in your growing stage is like a mirage. It's like going down the street and you see that water on the top of the asphalt, but then just when you get to where it was, it's never there. Mm-hmm. It's like you're always chasing being better. And that's the one great thing about music. You'll never get anything out of that instrument. You'll never get out of that instrument that's in it. You won't. It'll bring you to your wits. It has torn relationships up. People have died just because that you're chasing it, and that's just what it is. You're in it to win it, and most of the time, a lot of people. Sometimes people just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna bow out. This thing is too much for me. I know a lot of people that have said that to me in talking to people over the last 35, 40 years. But yeah, it will definitely bring you to your wits.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And what would you say about, people say that there's a lack of jazz radio in the Bay Area.
That is very, very sad to me. I wouldn't be half the musician I am if I didn't have a radio station or stations when I was coming up that played music, because I didn't know to go to the record store to buy Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. I didn't know to buy Frank Sinatra Live at the Sands. I didn't know to buy sounds and stuff like that by Quincy Jones. I just didn't know. We didn't have. My parents were religious people, and my dad listened to everything. My mom was a sacred singer, and she was a classical singer. My dad liked everything from Dinah Washington to B.B. King, Crusaders, everything. Mm-hmm. So I had the best of a lot of music, but we didn't have a lot of records. Actually, I had the biggest record collection in my house until I was about maybe like 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of having a radio station in the Bay Area is just like a lot of my friends were posting on Facebook on Sunday. Herbie Hancock was here on Sunday. They didn't know anything about it because we don't have that. It was sold out, but we don't have that kind of marketing. You don't hear the music. Artists come out with brand new music quite a bit. There are collaborations that we never hear about, and even on the Grammy ballot. I was looking on the Grammy ballot one year. I was like, "Gee, I've never heard this project before." I had to go to iTunes and download it. Mm-hmm. Without having, I wouldn't even say jazz radio. I would say contemporary instrumental radio. Our radio out here is very, very. And I'm probably gonna get in trouble. I can feel it.
Yeah, because I'm trying.
I can feel the calls coming, but I just say.
Because I'm trying not to name the stations, but
Well,
there were two very prominent ones that just gone.
I can tell you KRE, KVLX.
And they used to.
I grew up on that stuff, so I didn't even know what Mike Stern looked like, but I knew Mike Stern guitar. Mm-hmm. All the early stuff, all the stuff I heard of Miles Davis first. I'm sorry I didn't hear Kind of Blue because I wasn't listening to the station that played Kind of Blue. I heard Miles Davis, You're Under Arrest, and Tutu, mm-hmm. and George Duke, and Al Jarreau, and Sanborn, Straight to the Heart, and Gerald Albright, Bermuda Nights, all that stuff. Kirk Whalum, and you know that. All those are the guys that made me go back and find out who Hank Crawford was, who David Fathead Newman was, who Debussy was, and listen to all this other music, other than my professors and my music teachers and people that I just listen. I came up listening to Crusaders. You can't even hear Crusaders on the radio anymore.
No.
It's like it's all that crazy stuff, and then I play with artists, and they got new songs coming out, and every time they announce a concert, they play a song from 20 years ago.
Exactly.
It's like, but this artist has, and I'm not talking about jazz artists, I'm talking about R&B.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, How much do I hear from Layla Hathaway's new project? How much do I really hear from Lettucey's new project?
Yeah, that's
You know,
used to be the old KBLX, and we had KKSF, and now, what is there? The nearest one is Sebastopol or Sacramento.
oh, that's KJZY is up in Santa Rosa. Yeah, and you probably can't even get that in your car. You can get that on your cable, was it cable music choice channels? You can get those. You can get that station. The one we had was KCSM. It's a College of San Mateo. They have a great jazz program. One of my buddies, Greg Bridges, he remember when I started playing sax. I shudder every time I see. I shudder to think of what he was hearing back then. But that kind of stuff is we don't have that, and then we wonder why. What kind of music comes out of the area is what they hear on the radio.
Yeah, so now everything is internet driven. You got to be listening to smoothjazz.com and those types of stations.
And then those stations, they can only play so much. You can only play so much music.
Right.
And somebody asked me the other day, and they said, "What if you were going to suggest music for me? What would I do?" I said, I would look at the voids that are being made. And I remember I read about a couple of months ago that Anita Baker is doing her final farewell tour. She turned 60 in January, and this year she's doing what she says is our final farewell tour. And I said, well, there's a market that's going to be open that somebody out here is capable of filling. There's a market where Nancy Wilson was. It needs to be filled. Who's filling that?
Right.
There's a lot of people. It could be Nina Freelon. It could be a lot of different people. But with the radio market being so, I almost want to call it a dictatorship because it's so much music out there. But you only get about one. You don't even get a tenth of what's out there.
No.
You don't get a tenth of what's out there. It's so much music. Not only here in the Bay Area, here in America, and then globally.
Yeah.
Globally, there's so much good music that we never get to experience.
And now that brings up another subject, because I find myself just getting on the internet and exploring everything. Indie versus mainstream. And I think that has a lot to just do with the major labels and the promotion behind it.
It does. That's very true. Independent artists. Most artists decided to go independent because the record companies were screwing them.
Exactly.
They were capitalizing on their publishing, and and so somebody in the late '80s, early '90s said, you know what, I can sell this stuff out of my trunk and make my own profits. And they found out how much it was to make a CD, how much it was to actually press a CD, and how much it was to produce a track, and you're like, I don't need that. And then you start finding people, much like myself, hey, just put a track out every couple of months, let the radio kind of dictate when it's another one that's ready to come out, and you do that. And now everybody is doing it. Lettucey did it for a while. Too Short did it. Too Short became a success. He was one of the first to start selling cars in the Bay Area. He sell his music out of his trunk.
That's right, out of the free market.
Yeah, 75 Girls Productions. Come on, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all that stuff. You got to respect that because somebody said, "Hey, I'm tired of this record company taking advantage of me." Prince, he went through his thing about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And now you see a lot of artists who were once who are still major artists that were on major labels say, "Hey, I can do this stuff. I can put my own stuff out."
Very true. You see that all the time now, where they're like, "Why did you leave Universal and now you're on Rinky Dink Records?"
No, they got their own record company. They keep it as one of the artists, produced his own album, had his son take pictures for his album cover, and it's great.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, I'll keep my money in my family.
Yeah, because I know a couple of female artists that are doing that. One, she's right here in San Francisco, and she's kind of we call her kind of rock, kind of bluesy. Sometimes she gets a little folky. I think it depends on what mood she's in.
Yeah.
But she plays a lot of the small venues around here, and it's great. And she had some songs featured on Grey's Anatomy, all types of things. And then another one I'm just getting to know. She's Indian, and she had everything out of her pocket, never been on a major label. Just her music is growing really fast now. So it's
Yeah,
just,
you take the time. You say, okay, I'm gonna spend my money to get a radio person to work this song or to work this project, and you get your PR people and you get somebody to run your website, and you sit down and you have a round table with your management, your PR people, and your social media people, and your radio people, and you say, this is where I want to go, this is the direction I want to go, and you don't have to worry about it, and your checks and balances part of it is much easier than trying to go through a corporation, because corporation, they're going to sit down and have a meeting without you. They're going to tell you where they want you to go.
right. And usually by the time that meeting is over, it's nothing that you wanted.
Correct. That's exactly correct. He's like, oh, I want, can I have some ownership of my music? I
Yeah.
understand that music is a music business. And I remember somebody told me a number of years ago, music is music when you play it from your heart and you play it through your instrument. But when it goes through that microphone and it lands on that tape, it becomes business. And that was a very poignant moment.
Mhm.
Very poignant moment. It's like it's music business, but then at some point you want to be a part of the business, and not a byproduct of the business.
Right. Now, what is Saxy Productions?
Saxy One Productions is my production company. Like I said, I took ownership of my own music, and it's a live band situation. It's me producing myself. It's me soon producing other artists, extending the knowledge that I've gotten, and incorporating the knowledge of other people that I work with, and building a what we call a stable, if you would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still in this early infancy. I've got my own studio at my house now, and that's great too. It's a production company that I want to keep on pushing other artists, recording my stuff. It's kind of being almost like a Motown.
Oh, that's the way to do it, though.
Have everything in house, and some of these artists we need to go back to the basics with it. We need to get, we call it finishing school. So we know how to talk on the radio, and we know how to present ourselves as artists in a positive light, and not only in our own community, but also in other communities, in other parts of the world, and where they respect us for being artists, because we look like we're supposed to be artists and we're supposed to be respected.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. A lot of that has been lost, because it's just the art and production as well, and what they call the development stages.
Developmental stages of it, and knowing what to do when you get your royalties, and how to pay people out of the royalties, and making sure that when you co-write a song with somebody, you make sure you treat everybody correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And having a legal team that sits down with everybody that you work with, so everybody has an equal say so. And and being free. Hey, if you want to bring your attorney, I'll bring my attorney. We all sit down and let them haggle it out to something that can become agreeable, where we're not a warring faction. 12 months later, when it's Grammy Awards and all the royalties are coming in, and why did you get this and why did you get that? When we watch that unsung, where somebody didn't quite dot their I's and cross their T's.
And there they are.
But these things are available.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask. And sometimes sometimes you do get pushed down and your knees get skinned, but you let it heal. You learn from it. You learn where that stumbling block is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a learning experience.
Yes, it is. When you look at it that way, yeah. Not look at it as failure or a setback. But
Nothing but nothing failure. From every failure, there's a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn that lesson. You have to know that it wasn't a failure, it was a lesson.
We're back. And Mr. Stabe Wilson is still here too. We've just been talking about music his music, the industry, and during the break we were also talking about internet radio and the direction of the energy industry, and if he had the power to change some things, how would he do that? You want to share that with our audience?
That was a good question. I'm not sure if I can even answer that. It's that's a good question. How would I change it? I don't even know. I don't think one person can change it. I think we all have to get aligned and be as one alliance, as artists, as producers, as writers, as engineers, as record company executives, as independent record company executives. I think everybody would have to get on the same page and stand for something and not fall for everything.
That sounds right. Don't jump on the next trend or bandwagon.
I think, but everybody would have to stand on it would have to be at least a standard that we all would conform to. And I don't know I don't have the recipe for that standard. I don't have the formula. Maybe if I did, I could, be the pioneer of something that's, new and forward thinking. But I'm not sure if it's a one person thing. I think it has to be an industry thing. And maybe some heads of the industry could do it. I know, like I said, Naris has something. Capital Music was in Naris on the Hill. Grammys on the Hill. That's what it is. They go to DC, and they lobby for their interests in the interest of all artists, which is a great thing. And I think I'm gonna try to join them this year. It has to be an industry thing. I'm not sure if it could be just a one person thing, and I would have to think about what I could do. I would have to be, at this point, I would just have to be a supporter and try to get on the grassroots part of it and move it forward once we conceptualize what it would be. I don't have that concept in my mind.
Now, do you see it changing at all in the future, or going on the course that it's taken?
Everything changes at some point in time. Everything must change.
Hopefully for the good. That's
it would change for the good. There's new generation. The new generation probably doesn't want to go the way it has been going so far. There are new laws that have come into effect that'll change that. There are new ways of getting your music out. So there is going to be change coming along.
Yeah. Because even though we are primarily internet radio, some people are like, well, the AM, FM is going to die out. Everything's going to be internet. Get used to it.
That could be very much so. That's true. I hear 90% of my audience hears my music on satellite radio, or satellite TV, or piped in. Very well. Let me go back and say that again, because I didn't say that correctly. 90% of my audience here in the Bay Area hears my music on satellite radio. There's a big portion, because I go out and have to promote stuff down south, Midwest, East Coast. They hear it on internet radio, and they hear it on the FM, I guess AM, FM radio.
Depending on where they are.
Depending on where they are. Overseas, they hear it on the radio and internet radio also. that's just my experience. And when people tell me, I heard your radio, and I ask them, say, well, what station you heard it on? I heard it on internet radio. Oh, okay. And then, there are DJs like yourself who will call and talk to me and they want to do an interview. And they say, I'm a radio station. We're a traditional radio station. You know, 86.5 on your FM dial, whatever. That kind of thing.
That's very true.
So satellite radio, and truth be told, they don't have AM FM radios in cars anymore. They have satellite radio.
Yeah, brand new car, it's not going to be there.
It's like you don't have cassettes in your car anymore.
Because at first it was FM only, AM was bye-bye, but yeah, now everything, they put a router in there and
it's a satellite radio. Satellite radio.
Yeah. So,
and you can tune whatever you want to do, and you can zone in on whatever music you want, whatever artist you want, and it comes up right there at your fingertips.
So yeah, it does. I could see how some people would be.
You know, because because remember, I hear they hear my music all the time on watercolors, and they heard it on Kirk Franklin Praise, and it was great because what they play on watercolors is not the same song they play on Kirk Franklin Praise, and I like that because it allows me to be almost what you call Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde musically. I could tap into one thing one way and tap into another way, and then I could blend them together. And I love it. I love blending audiences like that.
Yeah.
Some audiences are easier to blend with other things than other audiences are easier to blend with other things. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's a good thing. You're not just
there's some audiences. Some audiences are like, okay, don't bring that part of your artistic life over here.
Oh.
Leave that on the other station. And the other one is like, hey, I like it all, and we're not so traditional here, and we like it. And yeah, if you slip that in, you're cool.
Yeah, it's not good to be limited where we want you to bring your R&B records here, and you can go play your gospel records over here.
Right, and don't factor in. It's like, I told somebody, cause I said, hey, the same artist you saw me at a winery playing. So you knew what show you were going to get. You know what my show is, and I don't dole down one of my shows because it's at the end of the day, it's really me. And maybe some people think, hey, you can't be that. It's music. I don't talk a lot during my shows, gospel or R&B, contemporary, instrumental, jazz, blues. I don't do a lot of talking. It's not about talking. It's about the music. The music will speak. I'll introduce the songs and I'll introduce the band, and that's it. I won't politicize, and I won't, maybe I'll say Happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, and today is International Women's Day. Good segue, by the way.
But as far as me, like, really just going out, people are here for the music. You want to talk to me afterwards. We'll hang out in front of the church. We'll hang out in the bar somewhere. It just depends. Whatever it's going to be. We'll hang out in one of the tasting rooms.
Yeah.
There's that time. But as far as, I know a lot of artists that won't do it because they've been persecuted so much that when you're playing, that's your soul. That's you bearing your soul, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's you standing naked, bearing your soul through your art. And then there's a lot of times you just, and as artists, you play for the audience, and then sometimes you just check out and you go into your own zone and you play for you. In the course of it, you come. Some people say, it's selfish. Where's the selfish line? Is it selfish that you're playing for your audience, or is it selfish that you're playing for yourself? And sometimes you just got to push yourself to go to the other point. and just zone into that one thing. You can zone in there and you forget, oh, there's an audience out there, because you're so into it, and most of the time the band is into it, and it's a great groove, it's a great feel, the sound is right. For me as a saxophone player, my saxophone is playing right, my reeds are right, my inner mix is right, everything is great. I can feel the bass player, I can feel the drummer, I hear everything I want to hear, the audience is into it, and sometimes you just check out.
It's like you forget about them, you're just in your zone.
And that's when you're actually being the most transparent. And the audience feels that, because they say, okay, now he's playing for him, for us.
Mm-hmm. It's not just showing off this and that.
Right, you're not scared. You're not playing what we call your cookie cutter stuff, your cookie cutter lines, your licks, the stuff that works for you. Oh, that's a Stabe Wilson lick. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Or every show is the same. When you just, like you're saying, just get out there and play.
Sometimes you just, there are times, they're rare as a band leader. There's times you just lose yourself in the moment, and just go, Everything is feeling right. And I imagine that's probably like drugs, You go through everything to have that one experience again. And so all the hell that you go through with TSA and band, and trying to rehearse people and trying to get schedules with your band, and making musical arrangements that work well. It's worth all that just to have that moment once again. It's like that high, like I said, maybe that's what people on drugs feel like. I can't ascribe to that because I don't know that, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, that you go through all of that just to get to that moment.
Yeah. And some people, channel different things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I have another single called "Calling."
Calling is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
Calling was produced. We had done 2 songs. We'd done the first 2, and we done "Love That" and "I Am Blessed." And I was at the point of the first 2, "I Am Blessed" and "Love That," where I was recording vocals. Being an instrumentalist, I didn't have a lot of experience recording vocals, and I wanted mine to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They came out perfect. I called Edwin Hawkins, and I said, "Edwin, I need some help. I don't know how many houses I'm gonna have to sell, and how many of my cars I'm gonna have to sell, and how many days and nights I'm gonna have to play in the community and the bar stations, but I need your help. I'm recording vocals." And he goes, "You recording vocals?" I said, "Yeah, I got everything else done." He's like, "You recorded stuff?" And, he's like, basically, I see you almost at least once a week. I heard you were in the studio. I didn't know you had gotten that far. And he was like, "Yeah, I need your help." So he can't, I had Sarah write some lyrics, and we went to the studio, and I said, "Yeah, when I need you to consult." I said, and then my thing was, just make sure the engineer has the microphones in the right place, and the vocals sound right. And Edwin became a part of my project from there on out, all the way to the very end. And about a month later, he said, "We need to go back and record the song that I wrote." And we recorded the song. He produced that thing, and we had a great time. It was a great experience having to be there. In hindsight, I understand it. In the last month and a half, he passed away on the 15th of January, and it made a lot of sense why he made sure that we got everything that was gonna happen. He made sure everything, we got everything. I don't know, it was some kind of preordination by God, predestination. It was just great, and it was great having to be a part of it, and asking me to record it, because as far as I know, I think I was the only instrumental artist that he worked with in this capacity. ASCAP told me that, and I haven't found anything to refute that, and I feel honored just to have that distinction. it was great. And you know, he came in and I was like, well, you know, some of this R&B, bro. It's all right. It's music. It came from God, and that really it made me feel good. So Colin is and if you listen real closely, you can definitely hear Edwin singing his smooth vocals on there. He's got a little line on there, and it's really good. Actually, this is probably the first time I've heard it since he's passed away. No, I listened to it once in the car. I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, the top of the next music set will be Calling, and we're coming up on the last half hour here. So after that, we'll talk a little more, play a little more music, and we'll have to. She's Chill Lounge with your host Gina Alexander from Radio Valencia, San Francisco. And the first song you heard in this set was Calling by our guest of honor, Stabe Wilson. The second song was Damien Escobar, Get Up and Dance. And the last one was Eric Darius, Breaking Through.
Eric's playing Blue Note Napa this weekend, tomorrow and Saturday.
Oh, wow.
7:30 and 9:30.
Yeah.
How ironic.
Yeah, I saw an advertisement. They were having a special service for the wine train. Get
Ah.
back to that, yeah.
Get out of here.
So that'll be real nice. Yeah, folks, something to do. And during the break, we were talking about we need to get your information out there. How can they contact you, book you, interview you?
You can always go to my website. It's Stabe, Stabe Wilson, WILSON.com. Once again, www.stabe, STABE, WILSON.com. You can email me. I usually answer emails in a pretty reasonable amount of time. And then you can always contact my manager, Joy Rome Presents. And then I'm on social media also. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Oh yeah, I think that's all I need to be on. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see you on Snapchat.
What is that? That's that thing when people are taking
They're
pictures.
making kitty ears
Oh,
and
yeah.
all
I don't
those
do all that stuff. I barely get on. You're doing enough for me to get me on there and respond. I respond to emails. I'm old fashioned. I respond to emails. I'll respond to wall posts. I'll inbox me always, but always, I respond to inbox, but I do wall posts. But yeah, I do the social media. I'm alright.
And are there any events where you'll be appearing next?
We're still lining up there are a lot of inquiries, and we're just trying to do some routing as far as what we're getting ready to do for the first spring, summer. I've got to finish up a couple of tracks in the studio. Hopefully within before this time, in the next 4 weeks. And we do a jazz mass at St. Augustine's Episcopal Church on 29th and Telegraph in Oakland every first Sunday. Yeah, it's a jazz mass. You come to church and maybe you hear some Stevie Wonder, maybe you'll hear some Earth, Wind and Fire, maybe you'll hear some Luther, and you may hear a hymn of your favorite or a gospel song. We do it all, and it's welcome. It's everybody's welcome. The church is on 29th and Telegraph. Once again, it's St. Augustine's Episcopal Church. Service starts at 10 a.m. and you're out at 12. Sometime between 11:30 and 12, you're out. Very welcoming, very warm congregation, and we have a lot of fun there. We've been there for about 3 years running, maybe even longer, and it's a great time. They have a great worship experience there, and a lot of great musicians. I try to incorporate a lot of great musicians and singers and musicians to be a part of it, and it's a great experience.
Excellent. Well, we'll be looking forward to all those things.
All right, yes, I better put every 8 o'clock service. You can catch me. I'm a staff musician at the First African and Methodist Episcopal Church in Oakland, California, pastored by Dr. Harold R. Mayberry. I'm there at 8 o'clock most Sundays. If I'm not out of town playing some stuff with my band someplace or out with somebody else playing, that's usually where you can find me on Sundays at 8 o'clock.
Excellent. So I hope a lot of those things are right here in the Bay Area. And I'm definitely gonna hook up with Joy and see if I could do some ticket giveaways, things like that.
Oh yeah, we look forward to that. We're going to do a lot of things this year.
Cool. Now I had a request by you. It was Willis Hickerson's "Lovely Day," and you're featured on that.
Yeah. Willis plays in my band. Actually, Willis played on all the cuts on my CD, and I guess I should probably kind of tell. There's no credits on that on the EP, but let's see. It's Willis Hickerson on keys, Dave Jackson on keys. They switched out between organ and piano on various tracks. Eric Smith, his brother John Jubu Smith, Joel Smith, Peter Michael Escovedo. Let's see. It's Cynthia Harvey Patton. It's it's Dale. It's Dale Anthony, Joshua Carter, Majesty Scott, Rusty Watson, Daryl Williams. Who am I leaving out? I'm going around. I think I got everybody.
Now is that a remake of Bill Withers' "Lovely Day"?
Yeah, on this track, this is Willis's project. And I can't remember who's everybody. I know Troy Lampkins is on this project. I'm on this project. Willis played keys. I think Willis's wife sang vocals. I wasn't on. That's one session I came and did overdubs. We talked about that earlier. And for those who don't know what that is, that's when they basically lay the tracks and they say, "Hey, I think I need a saxophone solo on here." And after everybody else is left out of the studio, months later, you come in and we do color punching an overdub. And I did the horn arrangements. I brought all my horns in. And he was like, "I'll play a solo." I said, "Hey, okay." And then after we got into the song, he was like, "It'll take you 30 minutes to lay a solo." Okay. And it ended up being like 5 hours, but I laid some horn lines for him on there, and it was a lot of fun. I actually want to go back and lay a baritone sax line on here just because I had so much fun playing it. It's called "Lovely Day." It's Soul Searching is the title of this project. And he's a guitar artist in his own right. He's a minister of fine arts at Mount Calvary in Sassoon, Fairfield. Dr. Claiborne Lee is the pastor there, and he's played all over. If you guys have a gospel background, he was the nucleus of Wilmington Chester Mass Choir back east, and they did some songs with Daryl Coley and Sovereign and He's Preparing Me, all those songs, and he was the nucleus behind it. Actually, he introduced me to the whole band. It was great. So this is his project. He called me to play sax solo on, and it was like, yeah, I had a lot of fun.
"Lovely Day," in which Mr. Stabe Wilson was featured on, the song by Willis Hickerson. The project is called "Soul Searching." It's almost time for us to get out of here, and we just want to say our last goodbye.
Goodbye. On the way out the door, I forgot to tell you guys that I'll be at Word Assembly Sunday. They're celebrating their 2nd anniversary in their brand new building, which they call the Palace, and it's a very nice edifice. And it's at 1445 23rd Street at 10 a.m. It's a great experience. I'll be there and celebrating with them, Bishop Keith Clark. And thank you for joining me. I've had a time hanging out with you, Gina. It's been great. You've pushed me. You pushed my mental block just a little bit further, and it's like, wow. You asked me some questions that really got me thinking. On my drive home, I'll be pondering a lot of things that you've birthed in my mind. I guess would be the proper thing to say. And so, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for invoking those thoughts.
Cool. And also, you can check out podcasts and video from the show in the next day or two at G's Chill Lounge on Facebook and Twitter. And you can also hit me up at gmail.com.